everyone, this is Shantae, aka Shantizi, on Twitter and Instagram, or just simply just Shantae Berry. So I'm here with an episode of Shantae's Analysis. Welcome. If you are not hip to it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Shantae Berry. Or you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at I am Shantizi. That is I as in igloo, A as in apple, M as in Mary, C as in cat, H as in hat, A as in Ann, N as in Nancy, T as in tiger, EEZY, Shantizi. So I am going to come to you with some COVID numbers. Of course, the coronavirus is still a threat to humanity. God knows when we're going to get out of this, but it is what it is, you know? So unfortunately, this you know who is still having us live with it, and there's no, I'm going to get to that in a minute. So here we are. According to the Johns Hopkins website, Johns Hopkins University of Medicine, global confirmed cases in 189 countries. We're at 52,678,681 cases of COVID. The global death toll is at 1,292,228. Damn. U.S. confirmed cases around the globe. Around our country. The confirmed cases. We are still number one. We're still number one. U.S. confirmed cases, we had 10,543,486. And the U.S. death toll is at 242,022. So I'm going to say that again. U.S. confirmed cases, we had 10,543,486 with the U.S. death toll at 242,022. And as of new confirmed cases today in the U.S., we exceeded the highest new infections of COVID-19 at 144,143. So let me say that again. The U.S. had an astronomical amount of new cases at 144,133. That is OD crazy, as we say in New York. That's dumb crazy. That's we say uptown in Harlem. It's crazy. Next, the cases at home. And if you want cases of the United States COVID cases, you can easily subscribe to New York Times or the Washington Post COVID map. It is free. They will tell you what's going on and tell you what's going on in local places. And of course, the number of cases and number of new infections and the death tolls as well. So, as of November 12, 2020, Texas has 1,060,128. Texas, as of today, Texas became the second state with surpassing over 1 million cases. They're the second state. I said in my previous lives that Texas and California are trajecting to the million cases. Oh, yeah, I heard it's going to be a lockdown for 5 to 6 weeks. They're going to do a national lockdown, which that should have happened already, because one of his people from the members of his COVID transition team was on MSNBC tonight. So thanks, Queen Lion. And Wagwan, by the way. Hello. So California has 1,008,493. Florida is another state that's on that 1 million trajectory, like I said previously, of Texas and California, because I meant to say that and I saw the comments. You know, when you see comments, you know, but you got to read people's comments. But I said Texas and California was going to exceed that. And I said Florida was going to exceed that too as well. Florida is on the path of exceeding that. Just hold on one second. Of Texas California, because I meant to say that and I saw the comments. You know, when you see comments, you know, but you got to read people's comments. But I said Texas and California was going to exceed that. And I said Florida was going to exceed that too as well. Florida is on the path of exceeding that. So this Jim Murray guy, I just blocked him from my Periscope. He said, "Do you know any good George Floyd jokes?" I don't got time for that shit. That is a spam account, and that's what you have to be aware of. So don't reapply to none of these scam folks. So anyway, as I was saying from before, I said before I got distracted and saw that ignorant shit, that Texas and California was on a trajectory to surpassing 1 million cases in the United States because they had higher numbers. They surpassed New York State with an astronomical amount of cases, and now they have like over 500,000 more cases in New York. So right about now, 2 states in the U.S. have over 1 million cases, and one of them is a Trump state. And Donald Trump is not doing nothing. Not a goddamn thing, which I'm going to get into next. So Florida, if I didn't say the numbers of Florida, Florida's at 863,611. New York, which was once the big epicenter of this, which the numbers did tick up a little bit in New York, but it's not as crazy as some other states. New York is at 550,516. And the reason why New York doesn't have an astronomical amount of crazy ass cases, because we have not fully reopened our facilities at over capacity or at 100% capacity, not even at 50% capacity like that, especially in New York City, which we have over 9 million people that live here. Things that have not been opened up in full capacity. There's still outside dining. They might close the restaurants down. The restaurants just got a 10 o'clock curfew, as I think Friday is going to be in effect of Friday. What else? You still got to get online to go to the stores. Inside the grocery store, inside most of these stores. They're not playing with, and there's social distancing stickers, especially in the retail stores. They're not playing. Like, not playing in New York. Even people at the corner store, like, put your mask on. Like, all right. Because Andrew Cuomo do pull up on people. He be driving down to the city because he is from New York City. So he know our behaviors down here and how we do something, especially when it's hot and you know what I mean, outside and shit. He be like searching through the neighborhood and not, yo, I'm telling you. Illinois, 537,658. They might surpass New York. I'm not sure because their numbers are climbing. They're only, 13,000 cases behind us or 12,000 and such. And they're in the reds, according to this New York Times COVID map. I think if y'all can't see it. No, the light is so bright. Y'all can't see it, but that's what I say. Subscribe. It's free. Georgia, 401,750. Wisconsin is... Wisconsin is red. It's really bad. They had to I think the governor did an executive order of a stay-at-home order because it's that bad. 309,607. North Carolina, 303,931. Tennessee, 291,482. And I suspected that Ohio was going to surpass New Jersey at 274,450. And then New Jersey is at 268,786. And Arizona is at 266,644. A lot of these states is like over 100,000, except like a couple of them. A couple of states is still like under 100,000, but their cases is climbing up. Like South Dakota, North Dakota have surpassed states like Oregon that was at risk at one point, and Delaware, and even surpassed Rhode Island and surpassed DC. And as I said before, we do not do not have a national strategy, a coordinated strategy. We don't even have contract tracing on a national level in place. I mean, look who is the leader of the free world, which his ass is about to leave on January 20th. Thank God. We got a competent man who just won Arizona, by the way. Joe Biden just won Arizona. And yeah, he's the president-elect. And the Electoral College got to vote the way the people vote. And we found out Stacey Abrams is another person that sits on the Electoral College. See what God can do when you lose races like Hillary and Stacey Abrams? They sit on these things. That's why good things come to people, those who wait. God always have a plan for you. And yeah, I hope we get Georgia too. They're doing the fucking recount, which I don't understand because, like I said, I think the night before I said, recounts never go well. Ask Al Gore 20 years ago. I remember that. I was like 14. I was in high school at the time when that whole debacle happened in Florida, which Jeb, you still responsible. I think Jeb did some shit. I don't know what he did. Jeb, when he was the governor of Florida at the time. Jeb. That's why your ass didn't win on 2016. That was good for your ass because you're born as fuck anyway, Jeb. But anyway, he was probably some behind that, and that's how George Bush won. But anyway, as I was saying, they was doing the recount in Florida, and it still didn't go well for him. So in this case, is our president won, which was Joe Biden, and Donald Trump is still trying to do this recount. He's interviewing people for a second term. Like, dude, you are so behind. The delegate count is fucking crazy. You got like 217. Joe Biden just picked up. He has like what now? 11, and I think he got like what 290 now. And he might have 206 by the end of this. Yeah. Nah. You kidding me? Fuck out of here. It's not going to work. And it's going to give Joe Biden more account, and it's going to give whoever ran third party more. And this was a rebuke on Donald Trump. It wasn't too much of a rebuke on the Republican Party, which I don't understand why these people vote for a party that cut your fucking relief, that don't give a fuck about you. Mitch McConnell, well, Addison Mitchell McConnell, you got to say their full name. Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr., Lindsey Olin Graham don't give a fuck about you. It's the truth. They don't. Trumpism is now Republicanism. They all bended their ass for Donald Trump. Which that 55%, that's going to be a whole nother lot for y'all bitches. Because I'm just going to tear your asses up. It's time to like literally tear your asses up. But anyway, back to what I was saying, not to derail off topic. But they don't care. But this was a whole rebuke on Donald Trump. Just Donald Trump. But the Republican Party, like the Democrats, we're in disarray now, which I'm about to get into. But the Republican Party, lockstep of racism. Get your shit together. And then Marco Rubio said he wants to put more people of color in. No. Y'all turned them off. Y'all escorted them out of y'all party. There was more people of color around when Bush was in. And that's the truth. Not HW, W. Because W had the most diverse cabinet or diverse White House as a Republican president. He sure did. I didn't agree with him 99.9% of the time, but he was a decent man. He was decent. He was decent as hell. He was just dumb. He didn't want the presidency. But he wasn't a bigot like Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a bigot and always been. New York has won the whole entire country, and y'all didn't fucking listen to us. But y'all made sure y'all listen this time, and y'all listened to us about Michael Bloomberg. You sure did listen to us. Sure fucking did. Sure the fuck did. But yeah, to these people voting for Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr. and Lizzie Olin Graham and the rest of them, what the fuck was y'all thinking? I know y'all was smart about Cory Gardner, not having him in there, nor Martha McSally. I hope in Georgia, I pray in Georgia people do come out. And I'm glad that there's people like Stacey Abrams and LaTosha Brown of, was it Black Voters Matter? That's out there doing the groundwork. And as for the Democrats, now I'm moving towards the Democrats because this is a Democratic problem. We won the White House. We have majority now that Lauren Underwood won her seat. We have majority in Congress still, and one chamber of Congress, and possibly could have another in another chamber. If we unite, have a meeting, unite together to get control so that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can be the best president and vice president we have in history. That they can pass up and can fix this country. But this whole policy shit, really? We can't take the fucking win? Dead ass? We're doing this motherfucking shit? Really? Seriously? I understand some moderate Dems were mad. I get it. They have to win, whether if they're in purple districts or in red districts. I understand the messaging is different. But you can't blame one person. Even though they did not mention the person by name, but that person so happened that she felt attacked. That's right, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And yes, I criticized her yesterday because of the ongoing tweets. Now, I understand people got, let's just say, I live in the same city as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but I live in a different borough. My parents live in the Bronx, but they live in a different congressional district. They live in the district where Richie Torres represents them, which I'm glad he's there because he was a great councilman. But to get into Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, because I want to address her because she's a congresswoman. I just feel like there's a time and a place to air your grievances. Doing it on Twitter and you're a sitting congresswoman and you won your race, even though you didn't win your race in large numbers like everybody else did, because according to her district, because I'm going to get into that in a minute, but you cannot do that. You got people looking up to you. You got kids looking up to you. You got other progressive activists looking up to you. Like, you're a symbolic figure in the Democratic Party. You wilding the fuck out and having all these grievances and all these feelings is just like, what's wrong with her? She lost her motherfucking mind? Because it was all on my timeline, and I was just like, are you fucking serious? Like, you're a sitting congresswoman. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? So I said in my video last night, and I'm going to play it so people can really understand where I was coming from, because some people misinterpreted what I said. They misinterpret every fucking thing of what the fuck I said. So here we are. So I told myself that I was not going to do this and I was not going to go down this rabbit hole. But this shit needs to be addressed. So here we go. Pretty astounding that some Dems don't believe it it's possible to govern, be politically popular, and command formidable bully pulpits at the same time. But it actually explains a lot about how we got here. We must have to choose between these things. We can do better and win. That is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez representing the New York 14th Congressional District, which is the east side of the Bronx and some parts of Queens. What the Congresswoman failed to understand that some Dems actually lost their seat because of the Republican messaging about socialism. Donald Trump basically brainwashed people. And some of these moderate Dems represent a mixture of red and blue Democrats. It is what it is. But what I'm sick of these progressives of, and including the Congresswoman, you're bullying us to support Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. And for the 18th millionth time, those are not progressive platforms. That doesn't scream progressive. It doesn't. There's so many other things such as education reform, including extended after-school programs in public schools, minimum wage, affordable housing, all of that and more. But like I said, they don't understand it. So I would like for her to get off her high horse and actually do some work in your community. And stop the fucking rage and tweeting, because it's really starting to get on my motherfucking nerves. Okay? So that's what I would like for the Congresswoman to do. Thank you. And it wasn't me being mean. I wasn't attacking her. I just want her to stop the fucking rage and tweeting and do her job. Do what your congressional constituents sent you the fuck to do. Her district. I want to tell you about the 14th congressional district, which was gerrymandered. It's not her fault. That's what the Republicans did. They gerrymander shit. So the stats on her congressional district, as the 2010 census, according to because the 2020 census was not here yet, on ballotpedia.com. You can subscribe. 712 people in her district. 712,000 people in her district. The gender is 51% male and 49% female. So it's it's a middle class. Okay. And 49% female. I do understand that, but you don't have to air out your grievances like that on Twitter, especially like when we just won. Like we just won. And we're having a policy debate, and it started from Sunday. I'm tired. I didn't even fully celebrate it because it's already a policy fight. And I was just tired. And back to her district, the race is 46% white, 11.4% black, 16.5% Asian. The ethnicity is 46% Hispanic because of some of the Queens side more than a lot of the east side of the Bronx. But in the east side of the Bronx is not, there's Puerto Ricans there, but there's also white people in her neighborhood. And I can tell you what's in that neighborhood because I wrote it down. This is the neighborhoods that she represents. In Queens, she represents Astoria, College Point, Corona, North Corona, East Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, Sunnyside, and Woodside. Those are gentrified neighborhoods. Those are the new New Yorkers that came there, mostly. But in these Elmhurst, Corona, and Sunnyside and Woodside, it's mostly a lot of Russian immigrants, a lot of Italian families, and there's a lot of Indian immigrants from Southeast Asia. There's some Guyanese people of the West Indian diaspora. What else is there? There's some Asians that live in that neighborhood. 60% is Asian, and more so white people, though. It's more white people. And the Bronx, she represents Pelham Gardens, City Island, Van Nest, Morris Park is by the 5 train, Park Chester, which is by the 6 train, Pelham Bay Park, Allerton, and Throsneck. Those are mostly majority white people, not too many black people. And as I say, the stats again is 11.4% black and 16.5% Asian. And ethnicity is 40% black. So some of that is part. There's white Hispanics that they identify as white. I don't know which Hispanics it are, but I know the black Hispanics are Dominican. And there's not a lot of Dominicans that live on that side of the Bronx. They actually live on the west side of the Bronx, where my congressman, Adriano Espaillat, represents that area too. So she won her race by 70% because her challenger took like 30% of that number. He took like 45,000 of the votes, and she had like 105. Because once again, her neighborhood is a predominantly middle class neighborhood. It's more of a white neighborhood. White traditional middle class neighborhood. And then you have some new white people that just moved into Astoria. Astoria was more of a manufacturer area. Still white people. Not too many black people that live there. So Jamaica, Queens is hood. That is more black than ever. But to my point of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she doesn't represent a lot of black people in her neighborhood, nor Asian people. She more so represents is a lot of white people in that neighborhood, because some of that neighborhood that district was represented by Joe Crowley. However, I'm here for her success, but what I don't like is the back and forth. And of course, her people came after me, which I don't mind. You come is one thing, you speaking your opinion, but it's the next thing you putting labels on people. You centrist people, you're a moderate. I'm none of those things. I don't put labels on me like that. If anything, in my policy stance, I'm more progressive. I am for extended after school programs within the U.S. without paying for shit, free after school. I'm for affordable housing. People that make under 125,000 or make under 150 and less to have at least less than $1,000 rent. Sure is. I am for expanded affordable housing in suburban areas and rural areas. Oh, yes, ma'am, I am. Universal base income? Absolutely. $2,000 in my pocket each month without getting taxed for that fucking money? Absolutely. That's not moderate. That's not centrist. Climate change? Absolutely. I am for energy jobs. Not too much for the coal. Because I live in New York City, born and raised. At that. Born and raised in New York. So, I mean, my senses are pretty progressive, but I don't call myself any of those things because I'm just an American voter who wants to see progressive change, who wants to see progress in this country. We was on a verge of progress, and Donald Trump just stripped all that fucking shit away. Hillary Clinton was going to revive the Obama legacy and take it a little further, but 53% of the white women, they didn't want that. Thank you from Brazil. They didn't want that. And people around the world looking at the United States like, yeah, I looked at this motherfucker. Unfortunately, we did. Not we, but that 53% of white women. Yep. And then the 55, and it increased from 53 to 55% of those white women, and those 58% of those white men sure did. Yep, it is the truth. It's a high motherfucking truth. But my video was not criticizing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I want her to do better. Stop airing your fucking grievances out. Hey, people, have a conversation. And she was probably mad at Hakeem Jeffries, which was his comment, because he said, do we want to be stars or we want to sit in Congress? He didn't put her name in it. He didn't put nobody's name. He could have been talking about Nancy Pelosi to her fucking face. That's what he could have probably did. Talk about Nancy Pelosi to her motherfucking face. Jim Clyburn was upset about the phrase defund the police because He's a Democrat in South Carolina, and very red South Carolina. And sometimes in South Carolina, some people don't want to change. Obviously, they voted for Lindsey Olin Graham back in that Congress when they could have had somebody that could have helped them get better broadband. Because Donald Trump had brainwashed people and wanted to keep whiteness, that's what happened. So that's why Jim Clyburn is salty. I understand. He's salty. Hakeem Jeffries is just like, look, we just need to do our fucking jobs. That's all we need to fucking do. And that's the fuck it. And of course, all the little progressive activists, they got all upset. They got their all panties in a bunch. You can run on progressive values in New York City. Don't get me wrong. Half of our congressional people are pretty fucking progressive. My congressman is part of the Progressive Caucus. And he Hispanic caucus as well. And Hakeem Jeffries is part of that Working Families Party too. Him, Adriano Espaillat, and fucking Hakeem Jeffries are part of the Working Families Party. And Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. New York is a very progressive city. However, that being said, some of them didn't embrace Bernie Sanders because they didn't like the fact that the way he came at them and how he didn't go to a lot of black neighborhoods neither in the city neither. It was a lot of white people at a rally because one of my former colleagues went to one of his rallies and she was like, what the fuck is this? Where the black people at? Where the Hispanics at? You up in the Bronx? Where the fucking black people? Where the Hispanic people? Because that's the majority of the borough. She lost people jobs in New York. Oh, what part of New York? Is it Amazon? I didn't even know. Because I had a friend that worked at Amazon. My daughter's godmother worked at Amazon. But this is no hatred of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I want her to do her thing. I actually want her to be in Democratic, leadership. But that grievances shit, that tweeting, that forever raging, cut that fucking shit out. And it's not just her, it's all the other people too. God, fuck, shit. I want to see you win. I really do. Oh, it is. I knew it was Amazon. I knew. Just stop. Fuck. And for all the Justice Democrats, don't come for Hakeem Jeffries. Don't do it. You don't want that smoke. He from Bed-Stuy, do or die. He's actually a Brooklyn guy. You don't mess with people from Brooklyn. You don't mess with them. Because according to this, he represents a very black neighborhood. 29.7% white, 56% black, 4.5% Asian. Here goes the neighborhoods he represents. Bed-Stuy, Canarsie, East New York, Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, Coney Island, and a lot of people live in Coney. A lot of black people live from Bed-Stuy and down. Even though Bed-Stuy is a little gentrified, there's still black people that live in Bed-Stuy. That shit is still hood as a motherfucker. That shit don't even got a motherfucking Starbucks over there. And the Bronx is another predominantly black neighborhood. Even though Harlem has been lightly gentrified, above 125th Street, that shit is still hood as a motherfucker. Because even though I reside now on the Upper West Side for the last 3 years, I am still a Harlem girl. I still vote in Harlem because I still work in Harlem. I still go to church in Harlem. I still go to the doctors in Harlem. I still go to the dentist in Harlem. I still go all of that shit in Harlem. Thank you. All of that shit in Harlem. And that shit is still hood as a motherfucker. So when all these little Justice Democrats want to primary these New York congressional people that's actually very progressive, that's not a very good look. I mean, it's actually Hakeem Jeffries, who's well respected, Gregory Meeks, and Adriano Esbiat. Adriano Esbiat is so fucking Washington Heights hood, and he doesn't even do a lot of news appearances. He don't. He actually like does the work. Like there was a picture of him in front of the state building handing out like masks and shit like that. I'm like, okay, because nobody hardly like you don't make a lot of appearances like that, but when you do your shit low key, which is understandable because some congressional people don't like the whole fucking spotlight in their face. The other Hispanic lady that represents Queens, she don't like a lot of stuff in her face neither. A lot of these congressional people don't like to be on news because they want to do their fucking job. Jill Brand don't really do a lot of news stuff like that because she does her fucking job. It's just as simple. But I need these Democrats to get their motherfucking shit together because we got to get Georgia really bad. Ayanna Pressley will be in Georgia. We got to get that. And for the record, I want these Justice Democrats to fucking stop calling black people establishment shills and corporatists. It's a fucking insult. And low information voters, especially, because that shit makes me want to go fight physically. Find your location and fuck your ass up for that shit. I'm going to need for y'all to stop that shit. Because black people do not have a specific name of the ideological views. Ideology. They don't. They vote because who is going to do this for me? Who got a plan? Who got the track record? Who got the receipts? That's what black people look for. There's only a few black people that identify themselves as progressive, moderate, centrist, conservative. Most black voters from my sister's 40, but my sister's 40, almost 42. My eldest sister and above don't really use those ideological names. People, I was born in 86, so beyond my years, we use those names, but I don't label myself as such because I'm just an American voter that wants somebody that's going to do something for me. Somebody say, oh, your views are more moderate. How's my views more moderate? My policy stands are pretty much very fucking progressive. I'm about clean air, not fracking. I'm about affordable housing. I'm about a universal base income because I want my fucking $2,000 a fucking month without being taxed by the government and not trying to like strip money away from the government. I want fucking affordable housing for all Americans that make $150,000 and less. I want STEM research in hospitals and even in schools. I want college to be free, public college to be free, and I want private college to be less than $25,000 a year. I want the Pell Grants to be higher. That's pretty fucking progressive to me. The Green New Deal, yeah, it's progressive. The Medicare for all is progressive, but the Medicare for all that Bernie Sanders is proposing, I'm not quite as sure because from what I'm reading, I'm going to continue to read, that bill was introduced by the late, great Representative John Conyers of Michigan. I believe Michigan's 13th congressional district. Women in the South, because my mom is from the South, but my aunts and cousins are still there. Their views may be a little bit different, but some of my aunts are a little bit progressive or centrist, whatever you want to call them. They don't really put labels on them. They're concerned about what you're going to do for us and the country and how you're going to better the country. They're more like statespeople. I agree, Cream Lion. I agree. Yeah, took credit for a lot of Hillary's policies because Hillary, as a first lady, she was doing a damn thing too. Everybody talk about Nancy Reagan, yeah, because you had a halfway senile husband, Ronald Reagan, but Hillary Clinton kept her husband online. But black women in the South, I mean, they more of a states people. They want certain things, but in a different way. But they kind of want the same things as black women in the North. They're just not extreme and radical with their shit. But black women in this country, I think all black women in this country want the same thing. We want black maternal mortality health policies that's going to help us so we can carry our babies, because we're 3 times likely to die during childbirth. Like, how crazy that shit is. Like, we want those things. Yeah, it will help, but if you use John Conyers' plan, if you don't tax people that make $29,000 and more, because that's what Bernie's plan is, I made $29,000 a year before. That ain't shit. That's chump change. That's lunch money. That's not even a full ass Metro card. So let's be clear. That ain't a motherfucking full Metro card. Yeah, $29,000 and more. But the black maternal mortality health, people saying Medicare for all will help that. No, there's a different plan for that. Yep, 2 to 4. Yep, that's crazy. Yep. And that's why Kamala Harris during the primaries had a bill for that before she wrote it in the legislation after post her primary, before she got selected as the VP. She proposed that during the presidential primaries, along with the extended after school, along with the black home ownership. She had a criminal justice plan. She had a Medicare, her own Medicare for all plan, which actually was like it was like similar to the affordable health care. You had a public option, but you can get the public, you could get the the public health care. In this country, people are trying to grapple of still being in the middle. Like, even on the coastal side, we are a little bit more progressive, as they say, but people in the middle of the country and some folks in the South, their ideological stuff is a little different. We can't say you got to be like this, because it's like, no, it's a free country. That's what the United States is for. And the whole idea of socialism, this country don't know what socialism is, man. You really don't know. Because people in other countries is like, that's not socialism. I was like, oh. Because healthcare in countries that have socialism, you have a public option. Like, you can use a public option. You don't have to have their healthcare. But honestly, I'm so tired of this infighting. This shit is stressing me the fuck out. This shit is giving me motherfucking gas. The only thing about Bernie, though, Bernie this time messed himself up. He had a second chance of running in. Instead, he had an endorsement. Okay, and I keep saying this. Bernie had an endorsement by a mayor from Jackson, Mississippi, if I'm mistaken, because he endorsed him. Bernie was also supposed to speak to black people in Mississippi. Instead, he went to Detroit, Chicago, and he was supposed to speak to black people there. Instead, his black folks spoke there. I mean, his black folks in his campaign spoke there. Excuse me. And it still didn't turn out really well, because Joe Biden ended up ended up getting Michigan, rightfully so, because of his allyship towards the governor and the lieutenant governor. And Trump supporters, they're just deplorable. They're a lost cause. And the black ones that support him, they just misguided. But I'm just saying is, with Bernie could have had the nomination, like, he was the third possible person that could have had the nomination if he wouldn't fucking did that shit and the whole socialism thing in Florida, which Those Cubans, y'all know how those Cubans are. It's communism. And then Trump was like, yeah, it's communism. It's communism. But that Mississippi decision was fucking stupid. It was fucking stupid. I'm just like, really? Even though I wasn't supporting anybody after Kamala Harris dropped out of the primary because I was upset. I was like, fuck this primary. This primary is stupid as fuck. Fuck this whole shit. Oh, you can support Elizabeth, Shantae. No, I'm not supporting Elizabeth. Shut the fuck up. Get out of my fucking face. That's how I was for like the rest of the primary. I said, suck my dick. I was doing all that shit. I don't want to fucking hear your mouth. Shut the fuck up. If I fuck your ass up, I fucking curse you out. That's how I was. I ain't gonna lie. That's how I was because I was mad. I was OD mad. But yeah, Kamala Harris is my first choice. Then Julian was the second. Julian dropped out. Pete was cool, but I couldn't see him as the president of the United States because he didn't have no black support. Even though he was cool, but he had no black support. Kamala Harris was very more progressive. Like those policies would have helped me because I was at the time a middle income person. I was making over $50,000 a year. And her policies really helped me. She also had the LIFT Act too. She had a lot of good policies. There were a lot of good policies. Even one of those folks from T1T said her policies are the left of me. But then you want to come at her because she was about to clinch that nomination because she was the only person besides Joe Biden that could have clinched that nomination from him. But I'm glad that she's the vice president-elect. There could have been anyone better. Everybody was saying, oh, it could have been Keisha Lance Bottoms. Keisha Lance Bottoms just became a mayor in 2018. And she was not going to leave the city of Atlanta. Stacey Abrams only served as a state representative, and that was not enough because you have to have foreign policy when you're the vice president. You got to have that experience to be the vice president. Unfortunately, America was so dumb they pick a populist, dumbass, jackass from Queens. But America was smart. They voted in an adult. They voted with the person with the most experience. The former vice president to the first African-American president. The person who has a good relationship with our foreign allies because they all congratulated him. All of them mostly. Even Boris Johnson. Yeah, Kamala would have been the president. And Pete probably would have been her vice. And if this person was alive, he would have made a very good vice president to like a potential, like a President Kamala Harris if this was so. Bo Biden. Bo Biden was supposed to be where Joe Biden is. Not as the president, but he would have been the vice president. Kamala Harris would have been the first, female president. But Bo Biden, he got sick and he died. And I never will forget Tom Steyer. And I was just on a live. I know. I just listened to Kenny's live, Too Raw, Too Real. And Mike Bloomberg stealing data and shit like that. And it backfired on their ass because Tom Steyer, after South Carolina, his ass dropped out. And after Super Tuesday, Michael Bloomberg dropped out because his debate performances really sucked. I mean, I told people, I said, that man never debated well. The person who challenged him the most during his debate when he was a mayor going for the third term was Bill Thompson. And Bill Thompson almost snatched his mayorship away. But I've been on here a little too long. I'm tired to, give a backstory history, but it is what it is. But I want these Democrats to cut this shit out and let's focus on Georgia. Let's try to snatch that Senate so Kamala Harris can be the tiebreaker. Okay? So until then, you have a good night. And tomorrow is the after show because I do my live on my Instagram on Friday. And then I do the after show on Fridays. Monday through Thursday is Shantae's analysis. And Friday is the after show because I do the show on Instagram. So until then, See y'all later.